Hey, what's up guys? John here. The biggest housing bubble in America, it's not Los Angeles or San Francisco. It's not Boston, Philadelphia, New York City, or Miami. No, it's Austin, Texas. What's happening in Austin behind the scenes is absolutely unbelievable, and you're going to look at one of the biggest housing bubbles in U.S. history unfold inside of Austin, Texas. Many don't know this, but rents have already fallen 20.76% inside of 1 year. Inside of 1 year, 20.76%. Home prices have already dropped a whopping 10% inside of 12 months. But the problems are not that. Many people can handle that. What is going to happen next is what's going to blow everyone back, which is 43,000 housing units are under construction for rent. A staggering 16% of the total rental product in the market is about to hit the market. We're going to see rents absolutely crash. And a lot of the Airbnb hosts that hope to rent out their properties on Airbnb, make 500, 1,000 bucks a night and really crush it, that, maybe tourism is pulling back in Austin. Maybe revenues are pulling back in Austin and they want to lean on a long-term rental. Well, it's going to be hard because rents are going to continue to drop, and a lot of people overpaid for properties and they don't have the ability to drop rents to stay competitive. What you're going to look at is going to be unreal, and I'm going to break this down for you because it's crazy. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share this content to educate more people about what's really going on in the U.S. housing market, in the economy. And today's video is sponsored by GreatCreditFast.com. If you want to fix your credit, we would love to help you. Let's hop on a strategy session at GreatCreditFast.com, a free strategy session, GreatCreditFast.com. Take a look at this. So, not like 2008, U.S. foreclosures already jumped, filings, 7%. 7%. But let's look at the numbers now. Let's look at the numbers, because the numbers are shocking. Mortgage rates today. Mortgage rates, if you have above average credit score, which is the average is 699. So if you have 700 to 719, 8.133%. If you have the average credit score, 8.238% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Right? That's absolutely crazy. Well, the median home price in Austin, $530,000. So let's look at what it would cost you on a monthly basis, which would be with a 10% down payment, $530,000 purchase price, 8.133% mortgage. So this is factoring in a mortgage rate that is above the national average, or in credit score that's above the national average. That would be $4,462 per month on a monthly basis. And of course, upkeep and things like that. Call it $5,000 a month just to live in Austin and being a homeowner there. And you need $53,000 in cash to put as a down payment. Now, a lot of people are going to look at that and say, that's a lot of money. You got to make $15,000, $17,000 bucks a month to afford the average in Austin, right? Well, let's look at what the average actually looks like. This is what an average home, $524,000. You ask me, are you going to pay $5,000 a month to live in this property? No, to me, this looks like a $2,500 to $3,000 rental. That's what that looks like. But $524,000, $524,000. You scroll down here, you look at any of these, $550,000 for this property. Of course, they just dropped the price $16K. This looks like a garage, right? It's decent, but for $550,000, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. It looks like an ADU, staged. Somewhat cheap laminate flooring. The backyard needs help. $550,000, $550,000 for that property. And so let's look at what is available for rent for around $3,500 to $4,000, right? This property here is $3,950. $3,950, and this is a pretty big house, almost 2,000 square feet. It's much, in my opinion, much nicer. Even this, $3,250 for this property. This is, it's decent. $3,500 bucks. $3,250. I would rather live there. Sit on $50,000 in cash, and save money, keep my options open. And if the market crashes further, I would buy. But looking at what this actually looks like, we have to ask ourselves, what are the cap rates? What are the landlords going through? What are property owners going through to get a gauge on what the future is going to look like in the Austin housing market, right? Well, the average cap rate for a B class is between 4.8 and 4.9. Now, many people don't know what a cap rate is. A cap rate is very simple. If you look at a building and you use this as a mental note, the building is like a business. When people buy businesses, they buy it based on, generally the cash flow of the business and the opportunity of that business, right? Same thing with real estate. People will buy a building based on the income. Usually it's the net operating income divided by the purchase price. So look at the gross income, all the money that's coming through the business, minus the expenses, you get the net income, and you take the net income, you divide it by the purchase price. So I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to show you what's actually happening to these landlords, because you're going to likely see something pretty crazy happen. So let's say it's $1 million property. Call it 5 units. It's a 5-unit building, and it's making $80,000 in annual gross income. So all the rents together, $80,000 a year. That's what it's pulling in. There's 25% of that revenue is going towards expenses, right? So you're getting net income if you paid all cash for the building, $60,000. And it's a 6 cap. So we'll just be, we're going to look at things very, very conservatively. Not 4.8, not 5.2 caps, a 6 cap, right? That is based on former rents last year, the year before at $80,000. Well, now rents have already dropped 20%, right? Rents have already dropped 20%. So you minus $16,000 from the $80,000 leaves you $64,000 in annual gross income. $64,000. And that 6 cap went to a 4.8 cap. So to get it back to a 6 cap, you would have to go to an $800,000 purchase price, meaning that the property owner that bought that property just lost $200,000 in value in their buildings just by rents dropping 20%. This does not take into consideration the fact that 43,000 housing units are going to come on the market. So when you're looking at this, you're like, okay, they probably bought that $1 million deal. They put $300,000 down. They financed $700,000. So they've already lost 200 of the 300 as a paper loss. Now they only have $100,000 in equity, but they have cost of sale. They wanted to sell the property and say, you know what, forget it, I want to get out of here. They're going to have to pay 8%, 7%. Commercial brokers usually get paid a little bit less than residential brokers. So maybe they're looking at 7% to exit the deal. And so if you're looking at that, you're like, okay, maybe they would be able to sell and just lose their $200,000 and maybe walk away with $30,000 or $40,000 of their money back, right? Well, the numbers get much, much bigger. $1 million deal is very small. But here's the fascinating aspect of this. Now the fact that mortgage rates have skyrocketed from 3% to 7% and rents are continuing to fall, banks are going to become much, much more strict when it comes time to refinance. And we're stepping into an environment where a lot of people have to refinance their properties. You're talking half of a $2.9 trillion pool of capital needs to get refinanced from now until 2025. And so when you're looking at these deals, the bank's going to say, okay, let's look at this. The property's worth $800,000 now. We'll give you a loan on this, a $600,000 loan. Well, if they owe $700,000, that would mean they would have to come to the table and they'd have to bring money to the table. So they wouldn't just have to bring $100,000. Usually they'd have to bring a little more than $100,000 from their $700,000. They'd have to get it to the $600,000, maybe even to $550,000. And so they have to write a check for $100,000, $150,000 just to stay in the deal, right? Just to stay in the deal. That's not taking into consideration that 16% of the units are going to be coming on the market, these 43,000 units. So that number is going to likely continue to increase. But that's manageable for many. Many people might be like, okay, I'll write a check for $150,000. I think we're going to see a recovery here or down the road. That's fine. But when you're looking at a $20 million deal, a $30 million deal, a $50 million deal, and you're looking across 100 units or 500 units, it becomes a big, big problem. In the last couple of years, everyone thought that Austin, Texas was the safest, the best bet, because they had no income tax, a very favorable job environment, a lot of high income earners. People thought that Austin was going to become the new San Francisco. Well, I got news for you. A lot of these property owners, what we're going to start to see here, this isn't the only issue, the 43,000 units. That's not the only issue. The issue is going to be when this job market starts to turn even more and people are looking at that property in Austin and saying, what do? I'm upside down on it. I'm already upside down because you think about it, values dropped 10%. They put 10% down for the most part. So they're already at probably a -8 or -10% loss, because if they put 10% down and the values drop by 10% and they still have to hire a realtor, they still have to close the deal, pay transfer taxes and closing costs, they're going to have to write a check for 40, 50, 60, 70 grand just to leave. So people are going to say, well, I want to Airbnb it. Well, a lot of people are going to try to Airbnb it. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to list it for rent. They're going to have to list their property for rent and compete with all this new inventory. So what are we going to start to see here? We're going to see problems, huge problems. And so, many people say, John, you're pessimistic about certain markets or about the real estate market, the economy. No, just look at the fundamentals. Just look at the numbers, remove emotion from it. You'll see things clearly. Problems are coming for a lot of people with leverage. Opportunities coming for a lot of people with cash. Plain and simple. Big changes coming. We're in the greatest wealth transfer of all time and the greatest rug pull that was ever established. And it's going to happen soon. What do you think about it? Drop below, hit the like button, subscribe here. I mean, this is going to be unreal to watch. This is going to be unreal to watch. But if you have money, if you're in a good business, if you are well positioned, good credit, low consumer adjustable rate debt, and you're in a position to where you can kind of navigate this, you look at how much volume. 40% of all mortgages were taken out between 2020 and 2021. Think about how much debt people are in. A lot of people are upside down. A lot of people are going to have to panic sell. And if you have cash and you're positioned, things are going to work out well for you. I have a really good feeling about that. Add me on IG, and if you know Fix Your Credit, we'd love to help you at greatcreditfast.com. I'll catch you guys in the next video.